Good morning.
He's starting. The Zoom is also live.
Good morning. Thank you to Rav Nachman and Rietti and all the Sadrim. I know they don't like to be named all the time, and thank you to my Rabbi Chaim Kramer and Breslov Research. We're still in Torah Zayin in Ice Base, where we're digging up the tachlis of the tzaddik emes. In this case, Moshe Rabbeinu is to imbue in us a special das. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim. That Hashem is the constant. That's what Yud Kei Vav Kei really means. Constant, sometimes translated as eternal, which is okay but not accurate, because eternal could have a starting point. Yud Kei Vav Kei has no starting point. That's the nafkamina. That's why the translation is important. Elokim, you are the constant power of all powers, and Einod Vadai. Almost sounds extra, but it isn't. It's just to remind us that we are in Olam Hazeh, Olam Hafuch, Olam HaSheker, Olam HaDimyon, Olam everything that you can think of that's negative is pretty much what this world is called. It's also Olam HaTikun, because we're in one big hospital fixing our Averas. So it's so easy for me to be distracted most of the time. And because I'm distracted by constant stimuli in this physical world, I can forget that Ein Oid Milvadai, that there really is no other hishtadlus that makes any real sense ultimately than turning to Hashem. Now, if I use a hishtadlus, but at least I first asked Hashem to help me. A little bit like Rav Nachman once wrote that when a person eats without a bracha, it's like a behemoth. When a person doesn't ask Hashem for his needs, it's like a behemoth. Why like a behemoth? Because Hashem. Actually, we just learned it last week's parsha. Ani kel shakai peruveh, and previous that was in Perek Lamed Hey Pasuk Yud Aleph. Hashem says, "Ani kel shakai." I am the God of plenty. I've got enough for everybody. As Rashi points out in Perek Yud Zayin Pasuk Aleph in Parshas Lech Lecha, where that's the first time Hashem introduces himself with that name, Ani kel shakai. His halach b'fanei v'yei tamim. So in that words there, Ani Kel Shakai, Rashi famously tells us, Ani Yesh Dai Be'elkusi L'chol Bria. I have enough in my Elokus, which means power. I have enough in my powers for every single creature, from the mammoth elephant all the way down to the smallest amoeba or ant. I have enough so. That Rashi is Perek Yud Zayin Pasuk Aleph, Parshas Lech Lecha. Yesh dai be'elkusi b'chol bria. So the mission of the tzaddik emes, we're referring specifically right now to Moshe Rabbeinu, is that he showed, you've been seen, you've experienced. The irony is that this statement is echoed throughout our liturgy. Even as we start the morning, Moide Ani, we end off Rabbe Munasecha. We are Moide, that I'm a Moide. That means to say I'm a thank youer. That's the literal translation. Ani Moide. I'm a thank youer. Thank you for my returning my neshama. I had no guarantee when I went to sleep last night that I should wake up, but you gave me another chance. So Moide Ani starts off with. I'm here to be grateful. That's the essence of a Jew, Yehuda. That's the essence of the name Yehuda, because Leah, when she said Ha'pa'am oideka, what do you mean now I'm thanking you? So I heard from Rabbi Beryl Wein of blessed memory, and I don't remember if it was Reb Tzadok that he was quoting. He quotes often Reb Tzadok, but I don't remember who it was. It might have been Reb Tzadok, but he said, what does it mean, now I'm thanking you? Because she made a simple math. She was a Navia, and they knew that between the four mothers, the four wives of Yaakov Avinu, they would have 12 children. So now when she had Yehuda, that's her fourth child, she realized she's got more than her fair share, and that was not the purpose of her gratitude. The gratitude was that she chapped that she was completely wrong in her math altogether. She wasn't owed her first son. She wasn't owed anything. Like David HaMelech, who lived Toivasi Baal Alecha. Whatever good I have in my life, you don't owe me anything. I'm owed nothing. So that was this time now I realize I really have to thank you, because I wasn't owed anything, not even my first child. So forget about the math. So Rabbi Emunasecha is how we end off Moed Ani. How great is your emunah in us? That's Hashem's emunah. So this is something for us to take very seriously. And then Elokai Neshama, I'm not going to go through all our liturgy, but Elokai Neshama, we admit there that you are Hashem, Riboin Kol HaMaasim. And this echoes Einoid Mavadoi. There is nothing outside of you. You control everything. You give life to everything. So emunah really is the key. We talked a little bit about das. We're talking a bit about now emunah, and how emunah is actually the master key. It brings us to everything. We quoted last week from Hosea, Perek Beis, I think, Pasuk Chaf Beis, which we say every morning. Ve'erastich li, I'm marrying you, be'emunah, and what happens next? And then you're going to know Hashem. So the way to das is through emunah. Emunah is everything. So in Sichas Haran, we've got a few copies here. In Sichas Haran, Lamed Beis. Sorry, not to throw at the sefer. Lamed Beis. So I'm going to quote from a few different lines. It starts off, Tzarech lechazek et atzmai. Happens to be paragraph 32 through 38 is grouped all about emunah. Happens to be a Sichas Haran. You'll find it often in Likutei Ran that Rav Nassan, when he was melaket and tried to be masad to them, especially in the second printing, he tried to group them according to topic, category, etc. So sometimes you will actually notice the obvious sequence. But Lamed Beis starts off all about emunah. Tzarech lechazek and atzmai. A person needs to strengthen himself be'emunah. Livli, I'm translating emunah as conviction. Livli lichnois bechakiros klal. Don't enter into any types of speculations. V'livli le'ayin klal b'sfarim shel machakrim. Don't even look at any svarim which are written by speculators, philosophy. Rak le'amin b'Hashem yisbarach be'emunah levad. Just have emunah in Hashem alone, bli shum chakirus klal, without any other speculation. I'm going to move down. I hope it's bolded in your. The next paragraph starts off. Uksha'adam hoylech. Uksha'adam hoylech betmimus be'emunah levad. We're going to be looking at tmimus hopefully today. When a person goes with simplicity. We learned last week. If you look at Sefer Radak, Sefer Hashrashim of the Radak, you'll see that pashat means to undressed. So undress. So lahafshit means to remove. Like coming up in this week's parsha in a shul near you, we're going to see that Yosef was stripped of his coat, of his long sleeved coat. So pshitus means simplicity. So I'm just saying that if a person would be totally undressed, he's just poshut. That's what you're seeing. The human being in his naked self. So when we say betmimus pshitus, when we're going to come to that word, you're going to understand that we're not looking to doresh anything else other than what you see in front of your eyes. Hashem, ata hireta ladas, you have been shown to know that Hashem hu Elokim ein oid milvadai. So ukshadam hoylech betmimus be'emunah. When a person goes with absolute tmimus, we're going to look at that word. It's a very important word, and he goes with emunah, with tmimus levad, blishum chakirus, without any other speculation. Yachol liskos. This is a huge claim that's being made now. He's able to be zoicha sheyaza le Hashem yisbarach. The Hashem will help him. Sheyavoy lebchinas ratzon. He'll come to the category known as ratzon, which we've translated correctly as must have. It doesn't sound nearly as elegant when you translate it that way in a sentence, but it doesn't mean want on a, like I want a strawberry jam and not apricot. It's a must have. It's a very, it's the highest level of ratzon. That's why Chazal say, Ein dava oimed bifnei ratzon. It's not talking about what you like or want. It's talking about when you actually must have something. So, sheyavo lebechinas ratzon, shehu lamala mahochma. Ratzon is higher than wisdom. So all my efforts to learn Aleph Beis, the Kudus, blending, reading accuracy, fluency, shroshim, prefixes, suffixes, so that I have a decent access to Chumash, and then be able to notice deliberate inconsistencies in the grammar of Chumash and Nach, and the deliberate misspellings. There's no such thing as a misspelling, but when it's deliberately done that way, my mind has got the baseline skills to be able to now unpack a pasuk. And then when we enter Mishnayos, and then later Gemara, which unpacks the Mishnayos, and we enter the world of Torah, so we're able to access Hashem's Chokhmah, Hashem's wisdom. So I wouldn't think in that process, which is an endless process, I wouldn't necessarily think that what's actually much greater than Chokhmah and is going to give me a much greater Chokhmah is Ratzon. That is not necessarily in the logical equation over here. And yet what Rav Nachman is helping us understand that Emunah is so powerful, Poshet Emunah b'tmimus, we'll soon see what tmimus means, is what is able to activate Hashem's helping me have a very, very high level of Ratzon that leads to a siyata d'shmaya of wisdom that's much, much greater. And this is in every single area of Ruchnius.
So you're saying it's greater to have this?
I'll just one second. I'll just answer this question first. Emunah can bring to Ratzon, which is a very, very, very deep craving desire that can lead to wisdom. So I think that on simple glance, I would think, okay, to get wisdom, I have to learn all the skills to enter wisdom. I have to know Tariq mitzvahs to really make sense out of Mishnayos. I'm just being honest. That is what Mishnayos is. It's a peirush to Tariq mitzvahs. It's not my claim. That's what Rav Bar Tanura says, and I think he's reasonably qualified to say what all Mishnayos is about.
Yeah.
He says it in Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph in Pirkei Avos. He describes there why Pirkei Avos is completely unique out of all the Masechtas of Shas, out of all the Masechtas. Avos is unique, and one of the reasons is because all the other Masechtas are a peirush to the mitzvahs. So if you know Tariq mitzvahs, you have an amazing advantage that when you start learning Mishnayos, you already understand the background information. I'm just being honest with you. We're in a system that has not necessarily thought this through. So that children, they learn a few parashiyos with maybe some chazara here and there of Chumash, and then they're pushed into Mishnayos and learn 4 or 5 Masechtas, maybe with some chazara, and then they go straight into Gemara. But what's really fascinating is that Tariq mitzvahs is the skeleton of everything in the halachic sequence of Torah. Halachic sequence meaning Mishnayos is not, there's no psak halacha that you're allowed to rely on, strictly speaking, but it's the beginning of the downloading of Tariq mitzvahs, which is the skeleton of halacha. The Gemara will now download the Mishnayos, and there'll be pages and pages that goes sequentially through each Mishnah, deciphering and decoding and understanding what's loaded in this particular choice of words in the Mishnah. And the Gemara will spend a number of pages doing that, and in that discussion, it will not necessarily give you, very rarely actually give you the Psak Halacha, but it will give you all the mechanics that you need to know to Paskin. The Ge'onim, and then later on, the codifiers, starting actually really with the Rif, he wrote something called Talmud Katan, which today I'm sure he'd be excommunicated for. He took the entire Shas, Bavli, and actually Yerushalmi. You see, if you learn Rif, you'll see he quotes Ge'onim frequently and Yerushalmi, and he condensed every single Mishnah with its peirush from Shas. He removed most of the machlokes and most of the agadatas, and kept you really to the pshat of the machlokes. And then he would also even give you a psak. Rambam did much more than that, because he's the major codifier after the Rif, because the Rif followed the structure of Shas, which when you look at Shas, you can't necessarily see what's the structure. How is this organized? Mishnah is extraordinarily organized. Yesh Seder the Mishnah. I'm not going into that now, but when you learn, let's say, Mishnayos with Kahati, he will often give you what's the connection between this Mishnah and the next. He'll give an excellent Hakdama to to the Masechta as well, and Rambam's page to Mishnayos also give you excellent. But when you get into Shas, then you're in the Yam HaTalmud, and if you don't have the navigating tools to get around, you are lost. Tariag mitzvahs is really the starting point, because when you get to the codes, even Rambam, this is not in my notes, but Rambam's Yad Chazaka, his 14 books of the Mishnah Torah, is made up of 14 categories, which he plots. Subdivides into 83 subsections, and he plots all Tariag mitzvahs in those 83 subsections. So actually, Rambam is a perush to Tariag mitzvahs, lahalacha. And what's unique about Rambam is, amongst many things, is that he actually covers every single one of Tariag. Later on, when you get to the Torah, and then Bet Yosef, and finally the Shulchan Aruch only covers those mitzvahs which are negeh b'zman hazeh. But Rambam covers all Tariag. The mitzvahs which are negeh b'zman hazeh are 279
Kachim,
total.
you mean, all the Kachim stuff.
All Kachim, all Taras, all Zraim that we haven't really had an opportunity till much more recently to start keeping. All that, not all of it, but a lot of it you're not going to find in Shulchan Aruch. You have Kalayim.
There's only 279 applicable mitzvahs today?
Yeah, for men it's 279, for women it's 270. There's only 9 mitzvahs which are as mitzvahs asay shazman grama that nashim are part of from. Kriyat Shema in the morning and the evening, and tefillin, shel rosh, shel yad, sit, shofar sukkah lulav, sfiras ha'omer, that's about it. Yeah, it's quite incredible. That means they really need to know a lot of mitzvahs. Now, but I'm not going into that now. All I'm pointing out is that the Chochmah of the Torah is something that on first glance you would say, okay, the way to access this is I've got to have the tools to access it. So I've got to know how to, Shurashim Pivik Suffixes to access Tanakh. I need to know some of the rules, or best of all the rules of Diktuk. There's a lot of rules, 613 rules in Malbim's Yalas Shacha. It's overwhelming. And you need to know Tariag mitzvahs, which is the skeleton of Kol HaTorah Kula. And if you want to get into the Agadata and the non-legal part of the Torah, which is Medrash and Musa and Hashkafa and Hasidus, so then it pays to really know the storyline of Chumash very well. Those are the only 2 components in the most skeletal definition of the Oraisa, which is trillions and trillions, unlimited layers, but the most skeletal definition of the entire Chumash is a storyline, and contained within the storyline are plotted 613 instructions. So to access that Chochmah, you and I would think, hey, I need the tools. Now, in a B'diavad situation, I'll go to a shiur in Daf Yomi and I'll listen to the Maggid shiur, but please be mochmi, who's the one who's benefiting the most from the shiur? Probably the Maggid shiur. Why? Because he has to prepare, he has to know it well enough to, depending on his audience, he has to know it well enough to anticipate any difficult questions might come up. But essentially, is that really the purpose of Torah? Or is the purpose of Torah that everybody should be able to give such a shiur? That we should be safe and independent in learning? Yeah, I need a shiur to bounce off, but Milchamta Shel Torah means the meeting of minds. So the Chochmah here, without understanding what Rav Nachman is telling me, is accessed starting with a munah that will lead to a rotzen. And it's the rotzen that gives you the full access of wisdom on a whole new level. So that is something that you could, when you meet real tzaddikim, and you realize the information they have is beyond normal. This doesn't make sense that a human being could learn so much in such a short amount of time. Someone recently gave me a set of, I can't remember even the name, I'm sorry, I actually have a seder in it, I've forgotten the name, of about 9 volumes from Rietti Morgenstern, which is just his... Sorry?
Yam HaChochmah?
No, it's
the other one.
It's the sichas that is said on the way home from his shul on Friday nights, and it's mind-boggling the Yam HaChochmah that is being culled from. You have to conclude no normal human being has enough time in their life to cover all this. And that's been said of Rav Nosson. You look at Likutei Halachos, it's such an encyclopedic work that covers Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. and Hasidus and Musa, and it's all contained in one. And you would have to say he must have spent his whole life doing this. But then if you read about his Hispaidus, you say, this man must have spent his whole life just doing Hispaidus. Then you realize how many people he influenced and spent time with. You say, he just must have spent all his time talking to people and being mechazik everyone. And you look at Likutei Tefillahs and you say, oh my gosh, this is encyclopedic. He must have been davening all day. And when you start to add up the math, there's no way a human being in this amount of lifetime can accomplish so much. And we're talking about a 38-and-a-half-year-old, Rav Nachman of Breslov, who, in his lifetime, you read the way he pulls together from anywhere, psukim, and midrashim and zayah, kisvei ari, etc. There's no way that an ordinary human being can do this. It's just simply, there's got to be some sort of shortcut. So when you learn Chaf Aleph in the first chelik, you realize, there's something called a shefa eloki that a person can be zoicha to, which is like a shortcut, but that comes from being metaher and mekadesh all the openings of the body, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, etc., so that level of kedusha gives a person the easy pass to the fast track, which is a special Hove line. What do you call it? Hove
HOV line.
HOV line, and you just got a totally different. And it's not an artificial shortcut. So
Is that doable today?
Sorry,
Is that doable today?
it's always doable. The mind is unlimited. The amount I allow physical planet Earth to get into my brain, the more I let my mind be distracted by people and circumstances and situations, and the more I dwell on mistakes I've made, and the more I dwell on the past and regret, that is what is filling my mind with, for the most part, shtus. It's really ridiculous. Because I can't exist in the past, I can't exist in the future, I've only got the now. I think we talked about this from Rav Nosson. He quotes the Pele Yoetz. I think the Pele Yoetz is the first one, that Ha'ava ayin, Ha'atid adayin, V'hoiva keheref ayin, Yemei chayav, Haval chavalim, and Daiga minayin. There's no room for Daiga. This is the only now I live in, this moment. So he ends off, Rav Nosson doesn't end off this, but in the Pele Yoetz, Ois Daiga, he ends off, Kum ushte yayin. Get up! Meaning, I'm on the ground, I'm on the floor, get up! Ushte yayin. And drink wine, meaning celebrate life. If I'm allowed to say, it only occurred to me a week ago, that I'm going to add on two words, v'oim elachayin. And say, we live for lives. We live in this world for both worlds. We don't live in this world for this world. We live in this world for the next world. So so Rav Nachman here is telling me, Emunah leads to Ratzon, and Ratzon is very, very high level. It's extremely, extremely high, and that can bring a person to Chochmah. Someone once came to Rav Nachman. It's I think it's in Kuf Yud Aleph in Tinyana. I think it's in Kuf Yud Aleph. I didn't put it in my notes, but I think it's apropos for this moment. Someone once asked Rav Nachman about coming close to Hashem. You need to learn. If you don't learn, you don't know the Ratzon HaBoreh. So I need to know Tariag, I need to know Halacha. That's why he was super big on Halacha, Shulchan Aruch, Keseda. V'tziva lo lilmoid. V'shal lo say. So the person asked Rav Nachman, "Haloi eini yachol lilmoid," but I can't learn. Okay, so he doesn't. I don't know what that meant. If he doesn't know Aleph base, or he can't read accurately, or he doesn't know Shorashim, which he can't translate. Doesn't matter which starting point he is. What was it? ADD, ADHD, LD, LSD. So it comes along. That was the only label I had in my days, growing up in the 60s. Anyone who remembers the 60s can't have lived in the 60s.
That's true.
So hey Shivloi. So Rav Nachman answered him, Al Yedei Tefillah. if you talk to Hashem, if you daven to Hashem, Yecholim, you are able, lavoi, to come, lekol, to everything. Lekol to everything that's good. LeTorah, v'avodah, u'lechol ha'kedushos, u'lechol ha'avodos, everything in avodas Hashem, in kedusha, every type of avodas Hashem, u'lechol ha'tovah shebechol ha'olamos.
Through what?
Tefillah. So Rav Nachman is telling you, okay, so you can't learn, then ask Hashem, please open my mind. Help me, I'm struggling with this. So Rav Nachman himself admitted that as a child, he found Chumash very hard, Mishnayos was really difficult, and Gemara was driving him nuts, and if you want to feel in good company, so comes along, Rav Nachman said, he begged, he cried, tears and tears, copious tears, begged, it's all coming from Tefillah. And what's the core of Tefillah? What is the fire under Tefillah? And the answer really is Ratzon. And what fires my Ratzon? I have to have a munah. The starting point has to be a munah that this works. Has to be. You can open up my mind.
But it can also not start with itself without the Ratzon. To
Good.
have a munah, you also need a Ratzon. You need to have the will to actually to understand
Yes.
that Einod Nevada
Yes.
needs an enormous amount of Ratzon. To be able to close your eyes.
Yes.
We learned last night that in order to get to the Tachlis
Right.
in Samachai,
Samachai.
you must close your eyes.
Yeah.
To close your eyes to that level,
Right.
you must have a very strong desire for it. So
Desire
the closing
everything.
of the eyes helps you
Yeah.
to be able to accomplish it.
That's
and
correct.
to get there.
100%.
So basically, everything starts with the Ratzon. Even the Emunah also starts with the Ratzon, because you cannot.
Right.
You need some. They all empower the other.
Yes.
But it's like
It's a cycle. Each one starts the other.
It's a cycle that works hand in hand.
Right.
And you need them both.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with the Ratzon.
So yeah, you could say really everything starts with Ratzon. You remind me in Kuf Yud, it's not far from where we just read, because we just read Kuf Yud Aleph. Kuf Yud in Tinyana, Shemati Ish Echad Shalasai. Rav Nassan records that I heard someone ask Rav Nachman, Keitzad hu habechira, how does free will work? Heishiv loy b'pshutus, and he answered him with absolute simplicity. Pshutus means there's no extras. If you want to learn about Bechira, there are Sfarim ad Ein Sof Kima that will go into the mechanics of Bechira. And yet what he's saying here, the word Pashut, which we said already, means to undress and just keep it to what it is without any extras. No salad dressing, just raw vegetables, whatever it is. Keitzad hu Bechira, Heishiv loy b'pshutus, he responded to him with absolute simplicity. Shabachira hi biyad ha'adam b'pshitus. Every person has in his hands the ability to make a choice. Imrais, and these are the three words. The whole world of free will is broken down into three words. This is very good for therapists who, when you take this seriously, to help your clients know that what you're doing is an outcome of your Ratzon. Imraitza oiseh. That's the whole story. If you really want to, that's what you'll do. I hate my job. I really hate my job. I can't stand it. This employer is too much. I can't take it anymore. And where do I go tomorrow? Back to the job. And the next day, I'm back to the job. So yeah, I want out, but I want the paycheck more than I want out. I want out, but I haven't got the courage to look elsewhere enough to get out of here. So what I'm doing, im Reitze Oiseh, is a revelation that whatever I'm doing right now, that's actually an outcome of my Ratzon. And if I really want to move on, so then I've got to change my Ratzon.
How do you do that?
Beg Hashem, give me the people, the contacts, the desire, and the encouragement to let go of this job. It's killing me. Help me have the courage to move on. Help me throw myself onto you, because I don't know what I'll do if I leave this job, but this job is killing me. I feel like I'm so abused in this job, I can't take it anymore. I've put years and years into my life, and I've reached a midlife crisis, and I realized this job is only for the salary, but there's no sipuk nefesh. Please God, get me out of here. This is what the das that Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us. You have been shown to know that Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim. There's no Mitzrayim He can't take you out of. There's no Mitzrayim. So Eino Milvado is telling me, turn to Hashem. The whole last mission in Sota, Perek Tes, the last 3 Mishnayos is all a sequence of 2,000 years ago, what we lost from it, all the great Tanaim who passed away, and suddenly the Mishnah makes a huge leap after telling you, Al mi lanu hishayin, ein lanu al mi lishayin el avinu shebashamayim. A Mishkan is a support that if you remove it, you fall to the ground. You're totally supported by this, like crutches for someone who's broken both legs or is in a wheelchair. Take the wheelchair away, he's on the ground. So it's a Mishkan means totally supporting. Ein lanu al mi lishayin. There's no other support that's total el avinu shebashamayim. So it all comes back to this das that the Tzaddik Emes, Moshe Rabbeinu, and all future Tzaddikim Amitim are trying to instill in me, that don't think that by voting for so-and-so is actually going to change anything. Because Ein Oid Mufadoi means exactly that. I'm the only address. Ultimately, I'm the only address. And Hashem's squeezing us in this last generation, and that's why that last Mishnah gives you a horrific list, about 6 different relationships. I think that's why maybe therapy is so rampant today, because Oive Ish Anshe Beisoi. Who are going to be my enemies? Members of my own household. Bas kam bifnei ima haim kala bifnei chamosa ben Minabel Av, and the last one is sorry? Micha, yeah, Perigimel. So it's astonishing. Oive ish anshe beisai. Now where do I turn? It's all a squeeze. We're in the crunch time that Hashem's squeezing us. I'm the only address, and eventually we get it. October 7th helped somewhat, but unfortunately, we need frequent reminders. So, im roitza oisa, vim eino roitza eino oisa. It's so simple. It's ridiculously simple. Whatever I'm doing, that is megala. It's revealing what I want. V'roshamti zois. This is amazing. A very short Torah. I recorded this. Kihu nitzrach moed. It's extremely needed. Ki kama b'nei adam nuvuchim b'zeh moed. Many people are confused by the whole concept of free will. I don't have free will. You don't understand. My father was a spendthrift. My mother was the biggest kamsan. I am so confused when it comes to finances. I am totally. I don't know if I'm screwed up. I'm a total mess. So I don't have a choice to be financially responsible. And I do the same with relationships. I was so traumatized by my parents shouting at me all the time that I can't hold a relationship. And before you know it, I actually think that it's my background that decided who I am today. And comes along Rav Nassim and says, you know why I recorded this? Im Oisa Roitza, sorry. Ki hu nisach mod, ki kama b'nei adam nuvrim b'zeh me'od, mach mashem murgalim b'maaseyem. They are so used to being in the same trench. They're going the same route, doing the same thing. U'badarchechem. And the ways, minureihem me'od, extremely from their childhood. From their childhood, they're so used to being shouted at that they became a shmata. And on them is written, I am a victim and you can take advantage of me. I can't. I don't have free will. Has v'shalom. So they think there's no way I can change. I can't. I'm not able to change the way I behave. It's not true. In reality, it's not true. Because with certainty, every human being has free will constantly for everything. Whatever he wants, but I'm talking about really, really wants, that's what he's going to do. Behaven hadvarim ma'oid. Rarely does Rav Nosson sign off like this, but here he does. Understand this really well, because it's the key of everything. So Ratzon is really the starting place. And what's the type of Ratzon we're talking about? So I'm going to share with you from Hilchos Teshuvah, from the Rambam. He actually has such an interesting definition. What is real Teshuvah? and this is what Rav Nachman, you're going to see in Rav Nas in Sichas Ran very soon. This is in Perek Yud of Hilchos Teshuvah of the Rambam, and it's in Halacha Gimel. Keitzad hi ha'ava haruya. What is called real love for Hashem? What is real love for Hashem? The correct love that we should have. Hu sheyalhev et Hashem ava gedola, is to have a great ava yisera, abundant, over, rabba, a lot. I mean, listen carefully how many adjectives are added to ava over here. Ava gedola yisera rabba aza, very strong. Azus is inside out strength, not outside in. It's not muscle building. It's a person could be even not physically strong, but he has such an azus, like a leopard, is such an az that he can drag something which is heavier than his own physical body up a tree and devour it there. It's astonishing. You can see videos of it. Az kanamer. It's really astonishing. Aza ad me'oid. This is it's almost like he couldn't find enough adjectives to describe how much love a person ought to have for Hashem. Ad shetei nafsho kashura be'avas Hashem, till his love for Hashem, his soul, is tied. And I'm guessing that the knot over here is a knot shel kayama, not arai. It is really, it's a very, very tight knot. Be'avas Hashem v'nimtza shoge ba tamid, and he is meshuga constantly about Hashem. And listen carefully, because the language here is he cannot focus on anything because he is totally in love with Hashem. And the most powerful dugma hachayim, the most powerful example of that in real life is between a man and an isha, which is he's going to demonstrate. Ki'ilu chayli ha'ava she'en dasam penuya me'avas oisa isha. It's such a deep love, he can't think about anything else except the love he has for this woman. Shushoika batamid, he's meshug about her all the time. Tamid means consistently or constantly. I understand over here it means constantly, because look at the next words. Bein b'shiftay, whether he's sitting down. Bein b'kumai, when he gets up, first thought enters his mind, that woman. Bein shashahu eichel v'shoisa, when he's eating and drinking, his mind is not on the food. He's thinking about this girl, this woman. Yasam ezeh, more than the description I've just given you. Tiya avas Hashem b'leiv oihavav, will be in the mind and heart of those who love Hashem. Shoigim b'tamid k'moshe zivanu, and they are meshuga about HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the time, as we are commanded, as we are instructed. And what's the instruction? B'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol me'odecha. All your thoughts, all your ratzon. Nafshecha means ratzon, and it also means your life. With all your ritzonos. That's Rashi on. It was a few weeks ago when Ephraim said, "Im roitzchem." I think it was Avram Avinu.
Yeshes nafshechem.
Yeah, in
Yeshes nafshechem.
nefesh.
Im yeshes nafshechem.
In yesh.
Es nafshechem.
Es nafshechem. So Rashi types it nafshechem ritzonechem. It's rotzen. So nefesh has every word in Lashon Kodesh is perfect, and when you unload the word, you will find it has multiple meanings. Those multiple meanings are not different meanings; they are different ingredients of the same recipe called ratzon. So nefesh is sometimes ratzon, so it means love Hashem with all your ratzon, all your desire. B'chol nafshecha also means b'chol nafshecha afilu notel nafshecha. That's what the Mishnah tells us. Last Mishnah in Brachas, Perek Tes Mishnah Hey. It's an extraordinary Mishnah. Love Hashem with all your life. Afilu notel nafshecha, and that's where the Gemara Samach Aleph in Gemara Brachas has a whole story with Rabbi Akiva. There's a few versions of it. There's an amazing one in Yerushalmi, also in Perek Hey of Sota Halacha Hey. It's an amazing story of other details not recorded in Bavli, of this mind of this extraordinary individual who's dying 120 years old, and he dies on the word Echad, that Hashem, everything is the same for me. It makes no difference. I'm alive or not alive. I die easily, die a terrible death. It's all in your hands. I'm good with whichever way you go. So it's a meshuna dika ava that transcends everything, even Yisurin.
Can I ask you something?
I'm going to finish this first. So sorry. Ubechol nafshecha, ubechol meodecha. Love Hashem with all your ma'id, which has several meanings. The Mishnah says bechol mamonecha. The Shlach Kodesh says that the word ma'id is the same oid as Adam. Adam comes from Adama. So the Shlach Kodesh says with all your raw resources, all the resources Hashem gave you, all your talents. Oh, you're good musically. You got a beautiful voice. Use it for me. Sing love songs to me. David HaMelech was the sweet singer of Klal Yisrael. 150 love songs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that even the Christians sing every Sunday morning. Tens of millions. And that's in translation. It's not even the correct... David HaMelech, the sweet singer of it, captured the full gamut, spectrum of every possible human experience and emotion, and he put it into song. And his song was just pure devekos. He couldn't stop loving Hashem. So b'chol me'odecha, with all your resources, b'chol mamonecha, dava acher, look at the end of that Mishnah, Perek Tes Mishnah Hey in Brachas, b'chol mita umida, it's a play on the word ma'oid. The two-letter root is mem dalet, it means measure. B'chol mita umida, every measure Hashem measures out to you. Bein mida toiva, when it's obviously blessing, it's good. A great marriage, great children, great parents-in-law, siblings, wonderful children, health, career, finances. I mean, wow. Bein midat puranut. Please be mochmei. I don't want to go with the Christian-based translation. Puran doesn't mean punishment. Puran means payment. Hashem, when Puran means extracting payment for a debt I haven't paid. So Hashem, in His kindness, because I didn't come to it myself, He will extract payment from me through Yisurin, or from Has v'shalom, an illness, or Has v'shalom, some loss financially, or worse. But it's really only good. How should I react when things go good? Be grateful. Oh, that's obvious. But how should I react when things don't go good? Have a ma'id ma'id. Look at the lashon there. Be extremely, extremely grateful. That is what Rambam is quoting here. We are instructed to shoot for that. That is the real purpose of living in this world. To come to such a deep ava that we're meshugah about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that no matter how He treats us, I love you. You're only good to me. V'hu sheshlomo omer derech mashal, and this is what Shlomo HaMelech wrote by way of a metaphor. Ki cholas ava ani. I'm sick with love. He's completely not taking care of his body. He can't think of sleeping properly, eating properly, drinking properly, exercising properly. He's only focused on this Isha and can't get her out of his mind. And that's the love that Shlomo HaMelech is telling us, in order that we get a dimyon, some sort of a reflection of what it means, Avas Hashem, in these three ways. B'chol levavam, b'chol nafshem, b'chol me'odecha. V'hu Shlomo HaMelech omer derech mashal ki choles avani b'kol shir hashirim mashal hu le'inyan zeh. The entire shir hashirim, unlike what the world does, is they take Poshup shut because they have no access to the Torah Sheba'al Peh. So when they reach shir hashirim, it's a Shlomo HaMelech. Okay, he had 1,000 wives, so there must be one or two that he really was especially endeared to. So he wrote Shir Hashirim. Has v'shalom. It's the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This is the holiest of all 10 songs. Is Shir Hashirim is the holiest of holies, and it's all about Avas Hashem. But the way Hashem gave us a possible understanding of that love is that we should at least once in our lifetime fallen in love in such a way that we can't stop thinking about the person. Until Sheva Brachas, at least. If we're lucky. Okay. So that Rambam seems to be clearly making it obvious to us that we're talking about an Ava. There's Ava Gedola Rabba Aza Ma'id. And that's what Rav Nachman is really telling us, that it's possible through Ratzon to get to a much higher level of wisdom than a person could ever come to sitting in kollel all their life.
And what's Ratzon?
Ratzon, it literally means must have.
Means what?
When I want something, that's a very low level, and that's the lowest level of Bechira. When I need something, that's called Bakasha. But when I have to have it, that's Ratzon. Ratz comes from two-letter root Ratz. When you're walking from here to there, everyone knows you want to go from A to B. But when you're walking like steadily, now this person needs to get there. But if there's obstacles along the way and you're running and you jump over, you dig underneath, you run around, running means, oh, he has to. So you have to pay the mortgage. It's not I want to, even if you don't want to, you have to. So you'll find a way. Your brain goes to a whole different place when it's a must. If a person wants to save a child, his body goes to a whole new level of koyach. The heart will pump much faster blood that you would think is impossible for the human being to do. You can see people have lifted cars. I once saw a mother who lifted the car off the front wheels and the engines in the front in order because her child was trapped under a car. That's humanly impossible, but not when you've got an Ava Gedola Rabba Ad Me'oid that there's no choice. I have to.
And how do we get to Ratzon?
Ratzon is Ratzon.
How do we get to it?
According to Rav Nachman, I have to want to want. That's a really bad translation. It's what? Sorry.
This is what David Melech said. Kave kivisi.
Yes. Yeah. Kava unfortunately is translated as hope, and it doesn't mean that. It means mitzape. Sape means expect. You're expecting. So when you expect, you will come through for me. And if you don't, then what should I do? Kava el Hashem. Expect Hashem. And what's interesting, look carefully at the grammar of the next words. V'ya'ametz libecha, and Hashem will strengthen my mind to give me the koyach v'kav el Hashem to pray again. That's a Gemara in Brachas Lamed Beis. It's a very important bracha. It's easy to remember. Lamed Beis is late. Kav el Hashem v'ya'ametz libecha. Hashem will strengthen your mind to want more and more and more. We're going to see it, but the way to get to Ratzon is to want it. But it's not. Okay, I want to lose weight if the chocolate doesn't speak too loud. I want to be patient with my wife if she doesn't press my buttons. That's a very low level. I need to improve my performance as a father, as a husband. So that's already better than wanting. But I have to. Already tells you a whole new level of leverage. I have to. It's not I want. It's not I need. I have to. I have to become the best husband I possibly can, the best wife, the most giving, the most caring, the most sensitive. But it doesn't mean I've got to be a schmutt of myself. But help me, Hashem. I can't do this alone. I can't do this. Get me the right role models, the people, the right svarim. Open my mind.
Might be a shul but I heard once someone say, if you want something bad enough, just imagine someone has a gun to your head and said, if you don't do this thing that you want bad enough,
right,
then you'll do it.
Yes, yeah. Now you have to.
Not so easy.
Now it's a have to. Yeah. No, it's a have to. Sorry, Dr. Rosenberg.
How does this fit in with the idea of being married and cleaving unto your wife? How does that fit in with love of Hashem?
How does cleaving to your wife fit in with love of Hashem? So, based on what Rambam is telling us, and when he talks about the cover that my wife really deserves, and Rav Nachman talks about this, I think it's in Reish Lamed Gimel, Reish Samach Gimel, Reish Samach Dalet, in those two Torahs, in Sichas Aran. He talks about being miyakeh, to hold your wife in great endearment, just for the fact, number one, that she's brought children to the world. And he quotes the famous Reb Chia in Samach Gimel in Yevamas, where Reb Chia, who had an abusive wife, she would humiliate him in public, and the Talmidim were embarrassed for their Rebbe, and Rav, who was his nephew, couldn't take it anymore, because when he was walking with his uncle in the market, Reb Chia, his uncle, was looking for a present for his wife, and he found something he knew that she would like, and he wrapped it carefully in his scarf and brought it home. And Rav said to Reb Chia, how do you do that? She's so abusive to you and you're looking to please her? And his answer was astonishing. Listen carefully to the Lashon, because he didn't answer the question about himself alone. He gave a generic answer that belongs in the minds of every husband. Dayenu! Dayenu. It's dayenu. It's enough. What's enough? Megadlas es banenu. For two virtues alone, she deserves my extraordinary covered. And to the extent that she's on my mind when I'm going through the marketplace. And these two virtues alone, are enough to drown out all the stuff I have to be sovel. Like Kahela says, Ahava is mechaseb kol ha'peshayim. Is that the right lashon? When a person's love could be so far, it will cover up. Now, pesha is not a simple avera; it's the worst. You've got a chet, which is a mistake, unintentional. Then you've got an avan, which is an intentional avera, and the worst of all is pesha, which is lahachis. It's not only intentional, but it's to get Hashem angry. I know that this is wrong, and I'm doing it anyway because I want Hashem to upset Hashem. So that's called pesha. And there's an ava that is mechasek kol ha'peshayim. And that's the ava that we're talking about over here. Reb Chia said, pay attention. She went through pregnancy. It's not easy. Even Rivka couldn't handle it. Rivka was a Naviya and she knew, but Nevuah, she was expecting, she was going to have 12 sons total. And then when she said, Lama ze anochi, I can't believe this pregnancy is so difficult. Why did I pray for this? Look at Rashi, he's quoting Hazal. Why did I pray for this? And Zeh is the Gematria 12. How could I pray to go through this pain 12 times? So Hashem said, okay, fine. This will be your last pregnancy. And Kachaya. She lost the chance to be mother of the 12 Shvatim. But that's a separate subject. But the point is, Nashim might go through a very difficult pregnancy, and in doing so, deserve the husbands covered for the fact that they're risking their lives and they're going through so much discomfort/pain. And then giving birth, OMG. Now we're talking about before, what's the name of the injection? Epidurals. Before epidurals, it was iron koilas. It was screams and screams. I'll never forget. I hope my wife will be with me on this one. The first time we went to hospital, and my wife had a very easy pregnancy, and we were in the waiting room, in the maternity ward, and heard these awesome screams. They were so frightening that it sounded as though, literally, we turned to each other and said, I think Dracula is piercing his fangs into her neck, because the scream was of such fear and pain that and then my wife made the comment, you know what, this is what goyim, they don't have a moon in Hashem, and so this is they don't know that they're bringing a child into the world. It's very hard for them. Anyway, so the epidural didn't work, and the screams were in the same league. It's Dayenu. It's enough to have covered for them. They are Megadol Banenu. They go through pregnancy. Rav Nachman brings Reish Samach Gimel, Reish Samach Dalet. It's in Sichas Aran. It's enough that they go through pregnancy, childbirth, and then Sar Gidel Banim. So no matter what, it's the Sar for the father as well, but nowhere close as it is for the mother. She is umbilically related to this child, pun intended. She's so invested. This child grew inside my womb, and therefore she's going to suffer any difficulty with this child more than the father, and that's enough. But there's a second virtue which also would trump all the rubbish and garbage that we have to be sovel, and can't be reminded enough. Matzaleinu minachet, and Rashi points out, it's astonishing. Rashi, Matzaleinu minachet means hiurachet. That if someone has pas basala, that's what he's referring to in that Gemara. Pas basala means the husband and wife are good to each other in the bedroom. She doesn't say, that's it, I'm not going to mikveh this month. You're done, finished, not going. But they don't play that game. Rabbi Victor Miller spoke about it many times, and Rav Nachman also talks about it there. One of the biggest problems that the youth have, and he's talking about in his time, is that they're not behaving in the bedroom to give each other pleasure. It's a chiyuv on the husband to do so. The mitzvah of Einar, strictly speaking, Beis Din can force him to give a get if he doesn't please her to her standard of pleasure. The Gemara in the Darim Daf Chaf talks about what's that mean. It's basically anything. I'm not going into any details, but you can look it up in Reish Mem Aleph, I think it is, or Reish Mem in Shulchan Aruch. But the point is that when they are good in the bedroom, husband has pas basalo. Pas basalo means there's bread in the basket. Ein adayim mishi yesh lo pas basalo. When a person's fasting, translate, when a person's fasting, it's much harder when they know the refrigerator is empty when they get home, right? So, always wonder, I think I shared this with you, if you're not supposed to eat at night, then why does every refrigerator have a light? Anyway, so is it just humor?
How do I stop that?
What?
How do I stop it?
Right, you can take the light out, can't find the food. So now, where was I? Pas basalai, if a person knows there's food when he gets home, he actually can fast much more easily. So it really comes out that Reb Chia is telling us all that I don't care how difficult your wife is, those two virtues alone, she deserves all your covered. And what he's also saying, if you think about it, he's really saying, if I focus on that and just love and give a cover for that, and I'm moichel on all the rest of the stuff, whether it's abuse, whether it's comparing me to her brother or her uncle or her father, and the unkind comparisons, whatever, it makes no difference. And Rashi says, if the person has pas basalai, he doesn't need to look at other women, and if he does, he doesn't think about it because he's already got satisfaction in the bedroom with his own wife.
What happens if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, then he should daven to Hashem, please help me do the right thing, that my wife should be endeared to me, that she'll give me pas basalai. It's not a small parsha, it's a huge parsha. It's not complicated, but it all comes again down to
that he announced, he came to a new town, he announced that who wants to marry him for one day because he wants to have a pas basalai.
Yeah.
This is
Who?
Could you address
one of the Amaron. He came, Ravuna, was it?
I think it was from Nachman actually, I think.
Nachman?
Yeah.
Came to a town and he had no wife with him, so he announced he wants to marry him for one day, so he should have
As
pas
an add-on.
basalai.
And another one for
And
the day.
it didn't mean that they would actually be even physical. It just meant pas basalai. If he
Pas
wants,
basalai.
it's
You should have
because he's
the
traveling.
opportunity.
There's no pas basalai when you're traveling, so it's a sakana. So that's it's a huge parsha. It's a very, very big parsha, but it's the whole purpose of marriage is to give me a dimion of what my avas Hashem ought to be. So it's something to strive for.
That's the purpose of marriage.
That's as we're seeing it, the way the whole Shir Shirim is a metaphor for avas Hashem. So how does Hashem give us even a taste of what that could possibly be? That when a person falls in love, and it's such a deep love, he can't get her out of his mind.
But we're so disconnected from that. Who even lives even remotely to that?
Okay, so then I got something to add to my tefillahs.
That's my question.
I got something to add to the Ratzon.
That's my question. How can you cleave onto a woman and also cleave onto Hashem?
So
That's my question.
yeah, so the essential point is this: what Reb Chia is bringing to our attention is look for the virtues in your wife that are huge. They could be small and they're huge, and it's the love is not an emotion; it's a scientific formula. Ava is when one person sees the good in another person, and the more good they see, the deeper is the love. The letter Aleph is 1, letter Base is 2. The letter Hey, not as a gematria, actually means existence. That's what the Vilna Gaon says. The first time letter Hey found in the Torah is in the word Haya. Haya, which we translate as was, means existence. That's what Haya is. That's what Hey is. The whole of physical world came into existence because of the letter Hey. Behei Baram, Al Tikrei Behi Baram, Ela Behei Baram. Hashem created the universe with the same effort it takes to say Hey. Hey. Every other ois, you need to make some sort of movement in your mouth. Oh, what a strain! You got to move your lips, your tongue, your teeth. But the letter Hey, you do nothing. You just breathe out. So the amount of effort it took. Ela told us Shmai Ma'aretz Behi Baram Al Tikrei Behi Baram Ela Behei Baram. Hey means existence. Now, when you love someone loves someone for their gorgeous figure. That's external love. You agree? They love them for their money. External love. Love them for their looks. External love. Love them for their financial clout, their political connections. It's all external. And ahava shetali b'dava, batal hadava, batal ahava. But what happens if you are in love with what's inside that person, and you look for the virtues inside them? The letter bet means 2, and as a prefix, it means inside. The word bias we translate usually as house. It doesn't mean house, it means home. Bais means inside. When Noach built the Teva B'Kofer, he covered it with pitch. Mi bayit u'michutz, from inside and outside. Bais means inside. Love is a 3-letter word. Aleph, Hey, Vase. One person seeing the existence, Hey, of the inside virtues of another person. And the more you see and say, the more that person's going to love you. The more you're going to love them. So it's all totally on paying attention to the virtues. When does love fall away? Very simple. When one person is paying attention to what they don't like inside the other person. That's the beginning of the end. It's not the end, it's the beginning. And it can be turned around. We are all creatures of reciprocation. And the moment we pay more attention to the Ava that Hashem has for us, which is what Bezrat Hashem will get to next week with the Pshitas of Emunah, that Hashem loves us so much, and we're going to quantify that. But that is really the only answer I honestly know, is that look at the good in the other person, because they are creatures that we are wired to reciprocate. Kamaim panim lepanim, and panim is not only faces, it's also the inside. So what you're thinking on the outside that is expressed by your facial expressions, kamaim panim lepanim, just like waters will perfectly reflect what you're thinking and therefore feeling. Kein lev adam ladam. There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Shlomo Melech Chacham Mikol Adam. He's telling us the whole secret to a loving relationship is see the good in the other, and it will be reciprocated. And that's what Hashem loves us so much. He just wants me to see the love. But once I get stuck on that, ein ladav asayf ki leolam chasdoi. His chesed is unlimited.
But my lack here, my own personal lack is, if you're loving this woman and you're cleaving onto this woman, and that's all you're seeing, where is Hashem? How am I cleaving onto Hashem?
So who put this issue into my life?
Pardon?
On the contrary, Rabbi Lapian, to add to what he's asking, Rabbi Lapian quotes one of the Gedolim in his Sefer, and he says that a person cannot come from the Chassidish dynasty, actually, that a person cannot get to Ahavas Hashem in full only if he has, only if he cleaves to his own woman, because this is where he can actually get at the pshat on it. But first, right. He can only get to Ahavas Hashem through that Ahava that he has.
But if the focus is on this woman, where is the room for Hashem? I don't get that. That's what I don't get.
It's a metaphor. A person can be, if a person has not experienced falling in love, that he can't stop thinking about this Isha, which is what we're supposed to have. It might be just only during engagement, but it's really preferably in marriage. But it's not that I'm supposed to be thinking about my wife all the time. It's a metaphor of real world for me to get a taste of what I'm supposed to be shooting for in my Ava of Hashem. And what's that Ava? I can't get him out of my mind. David HaMelech would say, I'm on my way to my throne to take all the kashas that are going to be brought to me, and he finds his legs take him to the best medrash. He loved Hashem so much, his legs would automatically take him to the best medrash. He said, Libi halal kirbi, my mind is completely emptied out of any hihurim ra'im. The only space I've got in my mind is the good that's in my world. And that was his default. No matter what Hashem threw at him, he kept coming back again and again and again, saying, Ki le'olam chasdai. How do you come to that? And chesed really is synonymous with Ava, which we'll see Bezrat Hashem in Torah number 33 in the first chelek. Rav Nachman talks about how chesed and rachamim and Ava are really, they're all the same thing. He brings from Yirmiyahu Perek Lamed Gimel, Lamed Aleph Pasuk Beis, where Yirmiyahu famously says, Ahavat Olam Ahavtich. Hashem says to the Jewish people, I love you with an unlimited, unending love. Al Ken, that's why Meshachtich Chased. That's why I'm drawing down upon you, showering you with kindness. Every breath, every cell in the body is moving and working because of the kindness of Hashem. So it's paying attention to that a person goes sugar with love for Hashem. And then now his rotzen is totally different, and he loves learning, he loves davening, he loves mitzvahs, and that it's not a constant, because Olam Hazeh is going to continually throw me curveballs that will distract me. But David HaMelech was so brilliant at this, and he had an unfair fair start. He had an amazing advantage. He spent 28 years as a shepherd in Hashem's Bria. He was so in love with seeing Hashem's constant chesed that by the time at 29 years old is when he was first anointed by Shmuel Navi. He wasn't married till 31. So David HaMelech, he had an incredible life of tremendous suffering on all ends, but he spent 28 years in love with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that he couldn't get Hashem out of his mind, and that was his default, no matter what the distraction was. So it's a metaphor, and that's what Shlomo Melech Rambam is telling me. Shlomo Melech wrote Shir HaShirim for a person to pay attention. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. In order that now I got a taste of what it can be, and you know what the raya is? If my mind is so distracted by what's going on in my world that I'm Masir Das from my love for Hashem, I haven't reached that. It's not B'chol Me'otecha yet. Do you follow?
Say it again.
Shir HaShirim is a metaphor for me to know where's my love for Hashem. Am I crazy about Hashem like Oisa Isha, like that woman? Adam Harishon blew it, and he separated for 130 years. It was not a good idea. Baruch Hashem, he reunited.
So this is why it's called Kodesh Kodeshim.
Yes.
Because when you say it, you actually you take a listen to yourself. Am I there or not?
Yes. It's the only measure we're given, and that's why Ben Azai was mistaken, because his Avas Torah was so great that he had no room for an Isha in his life. But the time against him was, well, you're going to be missing out on what you're supposed to have as a taste of Avas Hashem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
How do we get the Ratzon to have the Ratzon? How do we get that?
I need to be a place where I can actually say, Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm not there. And it's not, even better, I'm not there yet. Help me. I can't do this alone. I'm so easily distracted, and I've got so many things going on in my life that I would interpret as negative. And so, I forgot to.
Okay, we got it. Okay, beautiful.
This is one of my favorites. Here. I sometimes wonder if you hear one word I say. Herschel, you got to look at this. You saw it?
And I think you can answer this next week because I know you have to run, but I think Reb Shmuel left. I think what he was asking, I understand that in this lesson you're saying that it's a metaphor.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you also said physically the mitzvah is to do that. So
yes.
I think he was wondering, how could you do both loves simultaneously? If your whole life right now is invested in a woman,
right.
how could you at the same time have a Havas Hashem?
You can't. But it's a metaphor so that I can know.
Right.
B'chol levavcha means there's no room for any other love. There is no room. But it doesn't mean he doesn't love his wife. On the contrary.
I think that's what he was asking. How could you do both together?
Right. On Avas Isha. There's only one Isha, unless you're Sfardi from Morocco and you're still allowed more than one. Then that's the metaphor. And who better to make that claim other than Shlomo Melech, who had 1,000 wives? Okay, 700 concubines.
How do you get the cheshik for the Ratzon? Cheshik.
So Rav Nachman's answer is, he was asked this question: How do you come to Ratzon? So you're going to have to want it. It's not. I don't like using the word want because that's not the tight. You've got to have a Ratzon for the Ratzonos.
Want to want.
And if you don't want
So that's my starting place. My starting place is eventually I don't even have the Ratzon to Ratzon, but I know that's what you want me to give me the Ratzon to have Ratzon.
So in your translation is Hashem, I want to must have things.
Yeah.
I want to must
Where
have.
it can start off with want, and it can go to need, but the ultimate is I have to have this. Please don't let me go through my life not having a deep craving. It's just reality because my neshama is so craving that. My neshama is a chelik elokam mimal. So my neshama knows that's the emes. So when a person, so to speak, plugs into this formula of a deep, deep Ratzon, the neshama is so excited. Oh, at last! I've been here 66 years. You've finally figured out that the reason you're here is to fall in love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please continue, please continue. And then the Yetzer Hara has to balance that out with distractions.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
On Peranis,
Sorry?
on Peranis, I think that based on what you're teaching is, Korea
He's the man.
it should be a release.
I know.
Why?
It is. You're right. Because paying a debt.
Because when you rip something one from the
Yes.
other is also called
Correct.
Korea.
Brilliant.
So now, so it comes that Quran is basically it's a release.
It's a release.
He's
Yeah.
giving something